welcome. We're back in the Brit and Yankee pub for another edition of the Brit and Yankee Craft Beer Channel Instant Brew Review. With me is my good chum, Mr. Ken McMullen, who is the general manager, brewmaster, and all-around good guy at Fox Republic Brewing in Yorkville, Illinois. There we go. He's even got his wonderful brewmaster shirt on.
Really glad to be here, Phil.
Good. I'm glad you could make it, because today our show is sponsored, before we get going, it's sponsored by the Coffee Camp. Now, the Coffee Camp is in the United Kingdom. And you may be asking yourself, why am I getting a sponsor from the United Kingdom? Well, it just so happens that it is my niece's husband who runs this wonderful local coffee shop. And he also has another location. Now, the locations are in Findon, in Sussex, and Shoreham by Sea in Sussex. So if you're going over to the UK and you want to do the South Downs walk, well, those are great places to stop off for the night, and you can go get a cup of coffee in the morning. They're fantastic. He is community operated, well, he's community oriented rather. The coffee is fantastic. I have never had a better cup of hot chocolate in my entire life, made with those pure chunks of cocoa nibs that you often put into beers.
Yes.
Right.
I have beer on nibs right now.
All right, beer on nibs. There we go. Well, he has coffee and chocolate on nibs. Go and see him. You can find him at 194 Findon Road in Findon Valley, Worthing, in the United Kingdom. His telephone number is 1903-368-298. Tell him the Brit sent you and say hi to Nick Bartlett, the owner. So that's our sponsor for today.
Thanks, Nick.
Yes, indeed. So today, Ken, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. In our instant brew review, we're going to do a blind beer taste. Now, the blind beer taste, we used to do that with the brewers. In fact, you were one of the brewers who we did it with, where we took 3 beers and you had to choose the one that you brewed, right? So we're not going to do that here. We've got 2 brews, and as it is winter, you know, coming out of fall, coming into the winter, I mean, the longest day is only a few days away. What's better than having a lovely brown ale? Or as we call it in England, a nice brown ale, all right? So I've got 2 brown ales that is going to be poured by my hand model. It's the lovely Kimberlee. She doesn't want to be on camera, but she's going to bring her hand in with the pourings. They're going to be A and B. So we won't know which beer we're tasting, because both of these beers come from breweries that we know in the Chicagoland area, and we don't want to be influenced by the name. So what are we going to do? First of all, we're going to have a baseline beer. So one of the baseline beers, commercial examples that everybody looks at as a standard, is Sam Smith's Nut Brown Ale. Now you may be asking yourself, Nut Brown Ale, is that different to brown ale? Is it different to brown ale?
Not really.
Correct. Because in England, they call this, the actual Sam Smith's call, and let me get it right, is the Sam Smith's Old... Oh, hang on. I'm a bit out of practice. I haven't done this for a while. Yes, it's called Sam Smith's Old Brewery Brown Ale. But over here in the United States, they call it Sam Smith's Nut Brown Ale. I'm going to crack this open. Now, you've had this before, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we haven't had it as a baseline, kind of getting our palates adjusted to the brown ale style. Now, Ken... What?
You know this Nut Brown was part of the mix pack of Sam Smith's in the 90s that all the brew pubs followed. And so every time you went to a brew pub, they had a Nut Brown, they had an oatmeal stout, they had a pale ale.
Oh, really? No,
Yeah,
I did not know
yeah.
that. That's interesting.
It's Sam Smith's very much influenced the 90s U.S. craft beer scene.
Well, here we have it. It's a beautiful looking beer. I mean, it's right in the middle of the characteristics of a good brown ale. Now, do you know, if you were making a brown ale, Ken, what would you look for in it?
Well, we're going to be making one very soon with Matt.
Very good.
We're doing a collab. And we're pulling you in on that too, remember?
How about that? How convenient.
But no, I would...
Well, cheers on this, by the way.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, so what would you look for then?
What would I look for?
Yeah, I mean,
the final thing.
Well, you're gonna make a brown ale. So, what are you gonna make? How's it gonna be?
Well, I want the nut brown character, and you get that by toasting the malt, and you can get malt that's already got that nutty character. It's a little bit, so there's some malt that you can get a biscuit note out of, or like a toast, and if you just toast it a little more, it kind of starts getting that nut character.
Okay.
So there's no nuts in here. It's
No,
just
does not contain nuts. It's just us behind the bar, right? So I like the look of this beer. It's always been a favorite of mine. Let's give it a slur. It's very creamy.
very creamy.
Beautiful medium body. The aroma,
It's a little. The body's almost a little lighter than I expected, but very nice. I mean,
and this does come over here in the States. We've got it in cans. You can get them in 4-pack cans at your local liquor store. Well, hopefully you can. But they also come in those, as you talked about, the sample packets and bottles. I don't think they're 750 milliliter. They're the 12-ounce bottles, whatever that is in milliliters. And Sam Smith's was up in Yorkshire. And it's in a small village called Tadcaster. And it is about 200 miles north of London if you're going like a little bit west. That's it. But it's also an interesting brewery because it's independently and privately owned and currently run by a guy who was a descendant of the original Sam Smith. Now it was 1700s. Oh, wait a minute, it says on here, 1758. There we go. I was halfway through the 1700s. And the guy who runs it now is a guy by the name of Humphrey Smith. He is just turning 80 in December. And he runs the brewery and the area like an old medieval baron. They call him a medieval beer baron. He's got a very ironclad fist on the standards and the pubs that he pushes his beer out to. It's supposed to be turning over to his son when he turns 80, whether or not he does. However, the beer has always been a favorite and it's always been a classic. So I love it's almost like a creamy, nutty flavor, isn't it?
yeah. No, it's very much a malt-focused beer. You got dark malts in there to give it color. You got that nutty malt, and then there's pale ale malt that gives you most of the sugar that.
Okay.
You know.
And one of the things about this beer, the Sam Smith one, is that it is made over Yorkshire squares. Now, I want to get this right because I didn't really know what a Yorkshire square was, but it is it's like a slate fermenter, if you will, and
Like a cube.
yeah, I think so. But the Yorkshire slate has always been the fantastic selling point of Sam Smith's beers. Right, so we've got our calibration here, and I think this is a very good one. Have a little bit more there.
Oh,
we're going to take a short break whilst I call down our pourer for the evening so that she can decide which is going to be beer A and which is going to be beer B, and then we're going to try and give you our tasting notes on these and see if we can perhaps select a favorite without knowing which one it is. Back in just a second. Welcome back. We are now waiting for our hand bottle to bring us in one of the beers. We don't know which one it is. She's opened it, she's marked the can, and she's now going to bring us the beer. Now, I'll tell you what they are as she brings in the beer. Can we have the beer, please?
Okay.
Here it comes. What a wonderful server. There we go. You got yours, Ken? There we go.
Are you giving me that?
What are we doing here?
We didn't practice that very well.
Thank you very much, the lovely
That was
Kimberlee.
excellent.
Okay, right. So we have one of the beers. Now, marked on our glasses here is A or B. So we have beer A, but I don't know which is beer A. So beer A is either Riverlands Brewing Company out of St. Charles, Illinois, Cabin Row. I knew it was Cabin something. So Cabin Row, which is their brown ale. The other one we're going to have, which obviously is beer B, is from Church Street, and that's called Mike's Brown Ale.
But
And
we don't know which is which.
we don't know which is which.
Okay.
No, I don't know. That's it. That's the whole thing, Ken. Have you
know,
been
but
following
just
along?
said beer
Oh, okay.
B is the other place. So.
So what we're going to do, while she's pouring beer B, then we can't see that. We'll be talking away here. So beer A comes in. It's a lot darker than the Sam Smith's ones. I hope you can see that.
It's very clear, nice head.
Lovely, nice little light brown head, right?
Yep, not as much malt aromatics as the last one.
Oh, okay. I'm not very good with the nose, personally, even though I do have a big one. But
Tough time of year.
I don't know. I'm getting more. I'm getting more of that like brown ale maltiness coming through. So beautiful head, kind of a light brown, creamy, very creamy.
Yeah.
So let's give it a slurp. Cheers.
Sure. Cheers.
Now we've only got our baseline beer to go from. And to me, this has more body,
It's a little crisper
richer,
finish.
a crisper finish.
Yeah.
Richer, I think, is,
But it's fuller bodied.
yeah, it's got that delicious,
I think it might be a little colder than that last one too.
oh really? Okay, I tried to keep them all right temperature. It swirls around lovely, doesn't it? Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. I'll tell you what, we'll put that one down there and we'll talk a little bit about some other ones whilst our hand bottle is pouring the second beer. So some of the other beers that you get in the brown ale area from let me get me notes here, make sure I get it right here. I don't give them their just dues. The commercial examples are things like one from Cigar City, the Maduro Brown Ale. That's the American one. Another one from England is Rigwelter Yorkshire Ale, which I actually have not had. Or also Alesmith. Now, I think they're out the West Coast, right? Alesmith Nut Brown Ale is another one of them. And, of course, I haven't mentioned it, Newcastle Brown Ale. Now, when everybody thinks of brown ale, they think of Newcastle Brown Ale. Once upon a time when I was growing up in England, Newcastle Brown Ale was the bee's knees. That was it. It was great. But since they got purchased by the bigger company, and I can't remember which one it is. Do you remember? No, it's one of the big ass breweries. So I think they have made it go downhill. They put more preservatives in it. It's in a clear bottle. I think it always was in a clear bottle. I don't remember it not being in a clear bottle, but I remember it being a much better flavor. Any memories of Newcastle Brown Ale?
I haven't had one in a long time. But yeah, it was a standard back in the 90s.
It was indeed. And of course, Newcastle football team, thumbs up to them. They're a great team. Right, so we're ready for beer B. We can do a comparison. Can we have beer B, please, hand model?
Yes, you may.
Thank you very much indeed. All right, there's yours.
Nope. Okay,
There you go.
thank
You have
you.
that one. I'll have that one. All right. Thank you very much. And I hope you don't mind your nose came in on the shot there, but that's all right.
Show off this very good pour there.
Absolutely fantastic.
Excellent job.
Now this, if I can hold this under the light up there, wow, that is clear. And in comparison,
It's actually darker than the last one.
I think so. I think it is darker than
Yeah.
the last one. Well, thank you very much, hand model. Great job. You are relieved. Right, this one we've got a little more in it.
We call this mahogany.
Oh, mahogany.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Here we go. Lovely. So now the head on this isn't quite as creamy looking. I don't know if you can shake it up a little bit. I heard somewhere that you can make the head come back by doing something.
You could swirl it or
So anyway, the second beer, okay, the first beer was Riverlands Brewing Company Cabin Row. The second beer, when we don't know if it's A or B, this is B beer, is from Church Street Brewing in Itasca, Illinois. Had a long association with them. They do fantastic historic styles, but they've also branched out into some of the new stuff. And this comes from one of their assistant brewers, Mike Smith, and it's his recipe, and it's called Mike's Brown Ale. It's part of their signature or sanctuary series, which they produce now and again. So let's
you
give
mean
this-
one of these is?
one of these is, yes. So we've got the Riverlands Cabin Row, and we have the Church Street Mike's Brown Ale. So cheers on this one. Let's have a little taste test on this. I think it's got the strongest flavor, strongest nose of the three of them.
It's got a little more darker malt notes, almost bordering on roast.
Oh, yeah.
but it's nice.
So we seem to, by chance, have gone up from medium, lighter colored Sam Smiths up to something that is really, wow, the flavor on this one is sticking around for a long time.
It's got a nice,
Intense.
little more than medium body, a little heavier than medium, and a lingering creaminess, like very similar to the Sam Smiths.
And the flavor lingers. I mean, my God.
Yeah, that.
This is
malt notes.
yeah. This is the heaviest, maltiest of the three. Now, this one I think has a dryness to it. I'm going to go back to beer A. That one, wow, it's really cool to be able to do two side by side. That one doesn't stick around quite as long.
Yeah.
There's more flavor in the medium, right in the middle, right?
This has to me, this is a more crisp finish, whereas this has a lingering finish. And
Yeah.
Sam Smith's was a lingering finish, a creamy lingering finish too.
Yeah, I thought the creaminess of Sam Smith's was the key in that, and it was almost like bordering on vanilla.
Yeah.
So
Now, are these nut browns or are these just browns?
these are called brown ales, and I think
Okay.
the only difference from a nut brown is that in England, or rather, a beer from England might be called a brown ale. When it comes over here, it's called a nut brown, because really Newcastle is a nut brown. But why that nut adjective is added, or is it an adjective? Whatever. Why they've added the nut, I don't know.
Well, it's because you've added malt that imparts a nuttiness to it.
Well,
So these, I don't get nuttiness in these. They're
Yeah.
nice malty brown ales with a little bit of that. It's not roast. It's just that darker toasted malt character. They're all delicious. All three of these have been great.
and what we didn't talk about was the ABV.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No, so Sam Smith's comes in at 5%. The Riverlands comes in at 5.7, and Mike's Brown Ale comes in at 5%. And that's really where the brown ales real fit. 5.7 is probably the upper level or something like that, because you want it to be more body, but be able to have a couple of them quite happily. And I thought I had notes here on what the perceived malt and aroma flavor. Now, this is from the Brewers Association style guidelines in 2024. They say roast malt may contribute to a biscuit or toasted aroma profile. Roast malt may contribute to the flavor profile, but the malt profile can range from dry to sweet. We've had that. I mean, I would say the last one is the sweetest out of the three.
Yeah.
So I think we now need to know which is beer A and which is beer B. But before that, I'm going to ask you, which is the one that you prefer? I mean, they're all great beers, but, we're going to have to rank them arbitrarily here.
I think I like beer A. I think it's more in the middle of the style, whereas beer B is a little darker, a little heavier, a little roastier.
Yep.
I still like it.
Yeah. I mean, I like both of these. And if I had to opt for one, so you're going with opt A.
Yeah.
I have been a little older than you, Ken. my flavor buds go away a little bit more. I prefer the stronger flavor. Although, if you go back to the Sam Smith's, that's a true good brown ale. Now this one, I do like that deeper roasty flavor. So we'll take a real short break. I'm going to go and get the cans, and we'll let you know which is A and B. And we're back, and I have the cans in front of me, and I can reveal to you a very interesting result of this experiment. Beer B, which I preferred, is Cabin Row from Riverlands Brewing. Beer A, which Ken preferred, is Mike's Brown Ale from Church Street. So what does this really tell us? Well, it's all about the individual palate. And I think, you being a professional brewer, you've kind of gone more on the style guidelines, whereas I've gone more on the taste guidelines.
I like subtle flavors. I like it balanced. Most people don't. Most people want it like in your face.
Well, and I have to say that that when you look at the guidelines for brown ale, they will also always state that in England things were more moderate, and yet when the American brewers started making it, they added more maltiness, they added more, not really hoppiness, because that's something we didn't talk about, because the hops are really not the high point of this beer. Is that right?
Yeah, they're just a balance. You know, they're not contributing. There's probably no aroma addition in these beers.
So, you know, and then of course this 5.7, it's a little higher, but you know, 0.7, it's not major, if you will.
What was this one?
So Mike's was 5.
5.5.
Yeah, 5. And here, I think on the side of that, it will tell you exactly what he's got in it, because Church Street do a good job of listing what the ingredients are, if that's what you're looking at there.
Maris Otter, Vienna, caramel 60, and chocolate malt. And then Fuggle hops.
There you go.
And an ESB yeast.
And the thing I like about the Riverlands beer is that on the description on the can, it says, this beer is roasty. Well, there we had that. Ready for a rough and tumble afternoon under the sun, or a relaxing night next to a crackling fire. Would you like to go for a rough and tumble afternoon under the sun, Ken?
Better drink this one for that.
Okay, there we go. I love these beers.
Like
Couple of really nice, good brown ales. And it looks like there's still some left in the cans, which is really good because now we can enjoy both of them. So I think we could do a quad clank. Can you do 2 at once? What do you reckon? After 3. Cheers, Ken. Beautiful. All the best. Go out and see if you can get these beers if you're in the Chicagoland area. If you like this Instant Brew Review, leave us a note, subscribe, wherever that thing comes up on here. Do whatever you have to do. We'll be back with a few more completely uneducated, well, except for him, beer reviews in the future. Keep watching. Tell your friends. Cheers. Oh, and by the way, up the Albion.
I'm used to being behind the bar, but I have not been behind this bar very
Oh, right. I don't allow people to go in this bar.
A heck of a lot of stuff to look at back there.